Long, long ago, nestled deep within the verdant mountains of Korea, lived a young man known as the Namukun, the woodcutter. He was a gentle soul, kind to all creatures, but terribly lonely. Having lost his parents at a young age and living by himself in a small, humble hut. Every day, he would venture into the ancient forest, his trusted axe, his only companion, felling trees to earn his meager living. The rustling leaves and chirping birds were often the only voices he heard, and a quiet longing for companionship echoed in his heart. Despite his solitude, he carried a deep respect for nature and all its inhabitants, never taking more than he needed. One brisk autumn morning, as the woodcutter worked, his peace was shattered by the frantic cries of an animal. Rushing towards the sound, he discovered a majestic deer, its leg caught in a cruel hunter's snare. Struggling desperately, its large, intelligent eyes, filled with terror, pleaded for help, and its powerful antlers thrashed against the undergrowth. Without hesitation, the kind woodcutter approached, his heart aching at the sight of its pain and fear. He knew he had to act swiftly, for the deer's life hung precariously in the balance. Once freed, the deer, miraculously uninjured, rose to its feet and looked at the woodcutter with profound gratitude in its deep brown eyes. To the woodcutter's astonishment, the majestic animal began to speak, its voice ancient and resonant, thanking him for his selfless act. It revealed that it was no ordinary deer, but a mystical creature, and wished to repay his kindness by granting him a wish, a chance to find true happiness. The deer then imparted a mysterious secret, promising that if he followed its instructions, his lonely days would soon come to an end. Following the deer's precise instructions, the woodcutter ascended the highest peak, navigating through winding paths and ancient trees. There, hidden from mortal eyes, he discovered a serene, crystal-clear pond, its surface reflecting the azure sky and the fluffy white clouds above. The air around it shimmered with an otherworldly glow, and the scent of unknown, fragrant blossoms filled the breeze. This was the legendary Yeonmot, the Pond of the Heavenly Maidens, a place where the mortal world touched the celestial realm. He found a hiding spot behind a cluster of tall reeds, his heart pounding with anticipation. As the sun reached its zenith, a breathtaking spectacle unfolded before his very eyes.
From the heavens above, a radiant path of shimmering light descended, carrying a procession of beautiful maidens, clad in robes of ethereal silk and vibrant colors. These were the Seonyeo, heavenly maidens, their forms imbued with grace and light, their movements as fluid as the gentle breeze. They floated down to the pond's edge, their laughter like the chime of silver bells, filling the tranquil air with joyous melody. The woodcutter watched, utterly captivated by their celestial beauty. One by one, the maidens shed their shimmering feather dresses, ui, and entered the crystal waters, their laughter echoing through the serene landscape. As they splashed and played, their worries seemed to melt away, leaving them in pure, unadulterated joy. Recalling the deer's instruction, the woodcutter's heart hammered against his ribs. He knew this was his moment. With a mix of apprehension and determination, he quietly crept from his hiding spot and, selecting one of the exquisite feather dresses, gently tucked it away in a hidden crevice beneath a mossy rock, his hands trembling slightly. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the heavenly maidens prepared to return to their celestial home. One by one, they retrieved their feather dresses, slipped them on, and ascended into the heavens, vanishing like wisps of smoke. But then, a heart-wrenching cry shattered the twilight peace. One maiden remained, frantically searching for her missing UI, her voice filled with desperate sorrow as she realized she was stranded, unable to return to her home in the sky. Her sisters, unaware of her plight, had already disappeared into the clouds. Seeing her profound distress, the woodcutter felt a complex swirl of emotions: guilt for his actions, yet also a deep well of sympathy for her plight. He emerged from his hiding place, feigning surprise and concern, approaching the weeping maiden with a gentle, reassuring demeanor. He offered her comfort, pretending to be a simple, helpful stranger who had stumbled upon her misfortune. He spoke with a quiet voice, expressing his sorrow for her situation and offering the only shelter he had, his humble hut nearby. With nowhere else to go, the heavenly maiden accepted the woodcutter's offer, and soon a quiet life began for them. She found solace in his simple kindness and the warmth of his small home. In time, love blossomed between the lonely woodcutter and the displaced maiden. They married, and their humble dwelling, filled with the joyous laughter of two beautiful children, a boy and a girl, who brought light and purpose to their lives. Yet, despite her earthly happiness, a subtle yearning lingered in the maiden's luminous eyes, a silent longing for her celestial home. Years passed, and the woodcutter's family grew, but the memory of the hidden feather dress never faded from his mind. One day, while gathering firewood, the majestic deer reappeared before him, its wise eyes serious and its voice somber. It warned him against returning the feather dress until they had 3 children, emphasizing that if she retrieved her UI before then, she would surely return to the heavens and never come back. The woodcutter listened, his heart heavy with the deer's caution, understanding the grave implications of his deception and its potential consequences. As their children, Hanil and Biul, grew older, the Sionio's longing for her true home became more pronounced. She would often stand gazing at the stars, a wistful sigh escaping her lips. One evening, as the children slept soundly, she turned to the woodcutter, her amethyst eyes filled with tears, and expressed her profound sadness, wishing she could once again wear her celestial garments. She spoke of the beauty of the heavenly realms, a stark contrast to their simple earthly existence, rekindling the woodcutter's guilt and internal conflict. Unable to bear his beloved wife's sorrow any longer, and despite the deer's warning about waiting for a 3rd child, the woodcutter made a fateful decision. He went to the hidden spot, his heart a mixture of trepidation and hope, and retrieved the shimmering feather dress. Returning home, he presented it to his wife, his gaze earnest and filled with a silent apology for his past deception. A gasp escaped her lips as her eyes fell upon the shimmering fabric. Recognizing it instantly, a sudden, radiant joy replacing her long-held sadness. With trembling hands, the Sionio took her celestial garment. As the shimmering fabric touched her skin, her form seemed to glow, and her earthy weariness instantly vanished, replaced by an ethereal radiance. She gathered her 2 beloved children, holding them close, their small faces filled with innocent wonder. She looked at the woodcutter one last time, a tearful, bittersweet smile on her lips, a mix of love and regret in her luminous eyes. Then, as if carried on a gentle breeze, she ascended, a vision of light and grace, disappearing into the vast blue heavens with her children. The woodcutter's world crumbled around him. His beloved wife and children, the very light of his life, had vanished, leaving him in an unbearable solitude far worse than before. He spent his days wandering the forest, calling out their names, his voice hoarse with grief, his heart heavy with regret. The vibrant forest now seemed bleak and empty, mirroring the void in his soul. He cursed his impatience, his foolish decision to go against the deer's wise counsel, his one act of deception now magnified into an unbearable tragedy. Just as despair threatened to consume him, the majestic deer reappeared, its gaze filled with pity and understanding. It spoke once more, revealing a final, wondrous secret, a magical well rope imbued with celestial power that would allow him to ascend to the heavens to reunite with his family. The deer warned him, however, that while in heaven, he must never touch any earthly objects, for even the smallest connection to the mortal world could sever his tie to the celestial realm forever. This was his last chance, his path to redemption. With newfound resolve, the woodcutter found the hidden well. As he grasped the shimmering, celestial rope, it felt impossibly light, yet strong. He began his ascent, leaving the earthly realm behind, climbing higher and higher through layers of clouds and starlight. The air grew thinner, filled with the scent of celestial blossoms, and the world below shrank into a distant, hazy memory. Finally, he emerged into a realm of breathtaking beauty, a glorious landscape of floating islands, luminous gardens, and skies painted with every imaginable color. The heavens, his new home. As he stepped onto the heavenly plains, his heart swelled with indescribable joy. There, amidst the ethereal beauty, were his wife and children. The Seonye, radiant and serene, rushed into his arms, tears of happiness streaming down her face, her longing finally fulfilled. His children, Hanil and Buell, now older and even more beautiful, embraced him with shouts of glee, their innocent faces glowing with delight. The family was reunited, their bond stronger than ever, in a place of unimaginable wonder, a testament to love's enduring power. The woodcutter found peace and joy in his new celestial life. He lived happily with his family, exploring the wonders of the heavens, where no hunger or hardship existed. Yet, sometimes, as he gazed down upon the distant, cloud-shrouded earth, a faint, nostalgic longing stirred within his heart. He missed the simple, rustic beauty of his old life, the familiar scent of pine, the warmth of his earthen home, and especially his aging mother, whom he had left behind so long ago. The memory of earthly flavors, particularly the simple gruel, juk his mother made, sometimes crossed his mind. One day, while the Seonye was away, a craving for something earthly overwhelmed the woodcutter. He spotted a cauldron of delicious-looking gruel, simmering enticingly, a replica of the dish his mother used to make. Overcome by nostalgia and hunger, and momentarily forgetting the deer's strict warning, he dipped a spoon into the tempting broth. The moment the warm, familiar taste touched his tongue, a powerful, irresistible force seized him, yanking him from the heavens. The connection to the mortal world, however fleeting, had been made. Down he tumbled, through the vast expanse between heaven and earth, until he landed back on the familiar ground of his old village. But he was no longer a man. The celestial rope had shattered, and in his place stood a magnificent rooster, crowing mournfully, its plaintive cries echoing through the mountains. Every morning, as the sun rises, the rooster cranes its neck towards the heavens, its cries a desperate plea for the family he lost, a constant reminder of his broken promise and the consequences of impatience and forgetting a sacred warning. The Seonyeon and his children, forever beyond his reach, watch from above, their hearts aching for the man who loved them, but could not resist the call of the earth. And so ends the tale of the woodcutter and the heavenly maiden, a story that reminds us of the profound consequences of broken promises and the delicate balance between desire and duty. It teaches us to cherish what we have, to honor sacred warnings, and to remember that sometimes even the deepest love cannot bridge the gap created by a moment of human frailty. If you were moved by the woodcutter's journey and the enduring love of his family, please take a moment to like this video and share it with those you cherish. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more enchanting tales from Korea and beyond. Until next time, may your path be filled with wisdom and contentment.